Hey everybody, so I kind of did like a little bit of a at my yard range video on the initial kind of like what I think. Shot a couple hundred rounds, and so now I'm sitting at about 500 rounds total. Um, I've added a few things to it since our last video. I added this Anarchy Outdoors pad to it. They're like $14, but it actually is quite soft. It's nice on your face. It's nice on your kids' face. So I put that on there really for my daughter. I added a Burris XTR Pro 5.5 to 30 by 56. I actually really like this scope. I wasn't sure. I've had like some of the Burris hunting scopes in the past, and I never had any of their higher end stuff though, to be honest with you. But I actually really like this. It seems to be an excellent fit for this. It parallaxes down to 20 yards. It has a really kind of unique setup in terms of pulling your dial off, and you can switch the dial out. It's pretty simple. So I like that. It really sits in there nice. You just, you can, to zero, you just get that lined up on your zero. You just push these two buttons in and it pushes right down, and so that's it. So it's kind of a cool setup. It's kind of a toolless zero, except the windage. So I think it's kind of a little bit silly that I actually like the capped turret that they have on there. But I would have liked that they would have made this toolless too. So there's two set screws that you have to loosen up, and you can slip it to zero. It's not that big of a deal, but I mean, I feel like you went halfway on that one. I would have paid extra $50-$60 for the scope, to be honest with you, to get the toolless zero, if that's what it would have took. Or if they would have put the tool underneath the cap like my Collis, I would have been fine with that too. It has a spur hunter mount, and I just added their Picatinny piece on here to that. It's really nice. I like to have these on there. It has I just added the Burris bubble level to it. It came with the scope cap, so that was kind of cool. It does have the Proof Research barrel on it. I really like the barrel. It's actually pretty accurate. It does have the bent chamber in it, so it's like the semi-auto match chamber in it. It does have a nice thick profile. It tapers a little bit. Overall, I really like this barrel. I feel like the accuracy on it's fine too. Like, I know sometimes people have a concern with that, but it was fine. I had an extra Eric Cortina tuner brake. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but I like the slimmer profile of this tuner setup better. And so I know it's ridiculous to have a 4-port brake on a 22, but that's the reason why I already owned it. And I'm not a huge fan of that big chunky one that they have. Although the version 2 is pretty cool looking. It does have an Area 419 weighted Arca rail on it, and so I really like this rail. It gives it the extra weight that you're losing from the carbon fiber. And I like that if I can pull this off, I can pull these Gray Apps weights off, and it makes it a lightweight rifle that you could use in the woods if you wanted to. The scope's a bit heavy, but it has a good balance there. It has an Anarchy Outdoors extended lever on it. This is an Area 419 barricade stop. But Gray Ops has that new one that kind of sweeps back and goes down farther. I'm going to switch it out to that. I have it on order, so as soon as they get those to where they can ship, I'm going to be going with that. It has an Area 419 bolt handle on it. Masterpiece arms grip. I really like adding this grip to it, because otherwise there really wasn't a good place, I feel like, to put your thumb if you want that thumb forward type style grip. So I thought that made sense. And there's a little bit of a pump out right here. I guess you could kind of set it in, but I liked something a little bit bigger. It does have that Timney flat face trigger on it, the Area 419 30 MOA base on it. And that's kind of how it came. This is actually the chassis that came with the rifle. So I actually bought the rifle used. I got it for like $800, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. And so I think it makes a lot of sense with this setup that it has. It came with this 5-round metal magazine. I got a couple of the 10-rounders that I'm going to put those. I got some of those Anarchy Outdoors extensions on it, and so I just haven't got around to doing that part yet. This is a Magpul bipod, and I actually use this more for hunting than anything. But I just didn't want to mark up my granite, so I had rubber feet on this, but it has those K&S easy switch feet on it, and then it has an Area 419 Arca lock conversion with the Picatinny rail piece added there, so it works great overall, so I really like it from that standpoint. Action's really smooth. I use Lubriplate for grease on it. Same stuff you'd use like on your M1 Grand and stuff, and that seems to actually work out really good. I just grabbed one of the targets in, so I was practicing off PRS barricade at 50 yards earlier. This is kind of like the Acura, and this is with the TAC 22 from Norma, so it's point, I don't know, oops, sorry. It's about a 1/2 inch. About a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch gun, you know, so it's shooting MOA. You know, that's quite, I think that's 10 shots, so we're getting, you know, it's a little over a half. That's probably 5.6 or something. You know, so overall, it's actually pretty accurate. This is about a 1/2 inch, so I think it's a pretty good shooting rifle. I think it'll get the job done. I'm not a 22 PRS person, to be honest with you. This was the first foray into like a precision 22 for me. So the gun setup's a little bit on the mid tier cost wise. It's not the cheapest. It's definitely not the most expensive. If you hunt around for a used rifle, you could get into it for a pretty good price. But I just thought I'd give kind of a high overview. This is the I like on those Burris Pro XDR Pro, so you can see it parallax down to 20, but the parallax knob's nice and big and the illumination knob is smaller, which I never understood why any of these companies are making a small little skinny parallax and this big lighted knob. So good on Burris for doing that, to be honest with you. So but that's kind of like what you see when you look over it. It's a pretty good setup in general. It has this one is their, it's not the, it's 2/10 mils in the reticle, not their 1/4 mil setup that they have. I like the 2/10. It's a little bit busier, I understand, but just all my other scopes have the 2/10 in it. So from a just from the standpoint of not making mistakes, I stuck with the 2/10. So hopefully that will keep me on the straight and narrow more often than not. But this is kind of a back to front kind of look to it. sits maybe the scope sits maybe a little bit higher than I'd like, but it's not bad overall, so it's got some room there. But this way, if I want, I can pull this whole setup off and I can put it on another rifle and still have the ring height. That should work on most rifles, and if you factor in your offset between here in the middle of your chamber and you put it in your ballistics calculator, it doesn't matter anyways. You can have this thing sitting this tall off, and as long as you got the offset there, you're good to go. But I just thought, well, I'll give you kind of a breakdown of what I've done to it. It's pretty accurate. I'm pretty happy with it. It'll be interesting to do some lot testing with it because it's shooting 1/2-inch groups with just $4.99 a box target, like cheap target ammo. So it should be kind of fun to see how it shoots. Ask any questions you want, but we'll probably do some longer distance shooting out to 200 yards with it here pretty soon and give a review on that. Take it easy.